Hey there. Today I want to share a really simple story with you. It's about two very different friends and how they stumbled upon the secret to what makes a truly perfect day. Have you ever had one of those days where you're just running on fumes, totally exhausted, but your brain just will not shut off? Or maybe it's the opposite, where you feel stuck, restless, and just kind of bored with everything. It's a really frustrating place to be, right? Well, if you've ever felt like that, the good news is you are so not alone. In fact, our story today is about two little pups who are struggling with this exact same thing. So, let me introduce you. Our two heroes are named Zoom and Snug. And trust me, you're about to see just how perfectly those names fit them. Okay, so this slide just breaks it down perfectly. On one hand, you've got Zoom, the little white pup. He's pure energy, all about action, speed, go, go, go. He's what you'd call Yang, that bright, active force. And on the other hand, we have Snug, the black pup. He was all about calm, quiet, and finding the coziest spot in the house. He is our Yin, that peaceful, still force. So two pups with two totally opposite ways of looking at the world.
And you can probably guess what happens next, right? When you live at those extremes, well, things tend to get a little off balance.
For Zoom, his day was just a complete whirlwind. We're talking chasing his tail, barking at squirrels, running endless laps around the yard. His life motto was basically doing his best, and he lived it every single second, non-stop. But here's the thing about going 100 miles an hour all the time. You eventually hit a wall. By that afternoon, Zoom just crashed. He was physically wiped out, panting and shaky, but his mind was still buzzing. He was too wired to even relax. He'd completely burned himself out. Meanwhile, Snug was living in a totally different universe. His day was all about peace. He found the absolute perfect sunbeam to nap in, he slowly chewed his favorite bone, he just watched the world go by. His whole vibe was relaxing is best. But a full day of doing absolutely nothing, that has its own problems, doesn't it? By the time evening rolled around, Snug just felt empty. He was bored, a little bit lonely, and his legs were all stiff from not moving. He hadn't had any adventures. He was just kind of stuck. So here's the key. Neither pup actually felt good. One was totally burnt out, and the other was bored out of his mind. They were both living at the extremes, and their lives were completely 100% out of balance. Something had to change. And luckily, that change came the very next day, thanks to their very wise owner, who decided it was time for a little lesson in the park. Right, so their owner, this really wise guy named Mr. Lee, he saw exactly what was going on. He knew they didn't need more of the same thing, they needed a little taste of what the other one had. So he packed them up and took them to the park with a plan. First up, he let Zoom do his thing, chase the ball with everything he had, pure, explosive Yang energy. But then, Mr. Lee had him stop. Just stop and rest. And as Zoom caught his breath, he felt the cool grass, the gentle breeze. For the first time, he actually noticed how peaceful the park was. And that little moment of yin, of calm, felt absolutely amazing after all that action. So then, it was Snug's turn. And seeing Zoom having so much fun, you could just see this little spark light up in his eyes. He actually got up and chased the ball. He wasn't fast, but he felt his heart pumping, the wind in his fur, a little dose of yang. And the craziest part? After that little bit of running around, his nap in the grass felt 1,000 times better. It felt earned. Mr. Lee sees this. He sees they're finally getting it. So he decides, all right, it's time to reveal the big secret behind their perfect day. He gets down in the sand and draws this beautiful flowing circle, the classic symbol of yin and yang. And he tells them, this is the secret to a happy life. It was never about choosing one side over the other. It's about how they work together. And this is where it all comes together. He shared 3 big secrets. First, opposites aren't enemies. They actually need each other. Action needs rest and rest needs action, just like Zoom and Snug. Second, he pointed to those little dots in the symbol. See, there's always a little bit of one inside the other. There's a seed of action in every moment of rest and a need for rest after every big action. And third, and this is the most important piece of the whole puzzle, the secret isn't picking a side. The secret is the dance. Life is all about flowing between the two. So, a cute story about 2 puppies, right? But what does this actually have to do with you? Well, everything, because now it's your turn to dance. I want you to just take a second and think about your own life right now. Have you been all yang, just rushing from one thing to the next, non-stop without even a moment to catch your breath? If you're feeling constantly tired, cranky, or just rushed off your feet, you're probably in a too much Zoom phase. Your whole system is telling you it needs some yin. And the cure isn't some huge, complicated thing. It's about choosing calm on purpose. Read a book, take a quiet bath, or just go outside for 5 minutes and look up at the stars.
But what about the flip side? Have you been a little too much like Snug? All yin, staying in, being quiet, maybe feeling a little uninspired and stuck?
If you've been feeling bored, lonely, or even just physically stiff, that's your cue. You need a dose of yang. Your body is craving a little energy, a little excitement. The cure is simple. Get moving. Go for a quick walk, put on your favorite song, and just dance around your room. Shake off that stillness.
Because really, at the end of the day, that is the whole secret. A good life, a happy life, isn't found at the extremes. It's not about being 100% productive or 100% relaxed. It's found right in the middle, in that beautiful flowing dance between the two.
So I'm going to leave you with this one simple question. Take a look at your week, or your day, or even just this moment right now. Where in your life is it time to dance? Is it time to invite in a little more energy, or maybe a little more calm? The choice, as always, is yours.